Have you ever just looked at someone and wondered, how do they do it? How do they seem to stick to good habits so effortlessly, while the rest of us, well, we struggle? The secret, it turns out, isn't about having more willpower. Nope, it's about having a better system. And today, we're diving into the absolute game-changing ideas from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You start a new gym routine, you're super motivated, and then a few weeks later, you're right back on the couch. Or you swear you're done with junk food, but somehow you find yourself reaching for that cookie without even thinking about it. It's just so frustrating.
But here's the one idea from this book that could change everything for you. You are not the problem. Seriously, your willpower isn't broken. The real issue is the system you're trying to use. Lasting change isn't about some heroic one-time effort. It's all about having a smarter system in place.
So if it's all about the system, where do we even start? Well, we start small. We start with the first huge concept from the book, the absolutely mind-blowing power of getting just 1% better every single day. And there is no better story to illustrate this than the wild transformation of the British cycling team.
Okay, so for about 100 years, British cycling was, to put it nicely, a complete joke. They had only ever won a single gold medal. They'd never won the Tour de France. They were so consistently bad that top bike companies literally refused to sell them bikes because they thought it would hurt their brand's reputation. I mean, that's how desperate it was.
Then, this guy, Dave Brailsford, comes along as the new performance director, and his strategy was so simple, but it was totally radical. He called it the aggregation of marginal gains. The big idea? Find a tiny 1% improvement in absolutely everything the team did. Everything.
And when I say everything, I mean it. They got crazy granular. Sure, they improved the obvious stuff like the bike seats, but they also tested which massage gels worked best for muscle recovery. They hired a surgeon to teach them the right way to wash their hands to avoid getting sick. They even painted the inside of the team truck white just so they could spot tiny bits of dust that might mess with the bikes. Now, each of these changes on its own seems almost pointless, right? But together, they compound it into something truly remarkable.
So how do we take that 1% idea and actually apply it to our own lives? Well, James Clear gives us this brilliantly simple framework. He calls it the 4 laws of behavior change.
Okay, here they are. Think of these 4 laws as the only levers you really need to pull to build good habits. And, this is the cool part, if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip them upside down. Let's take a closer look at how they work.
We're going to start with the first 2 laws, which are all about getting a habit off the ground in the first place. Make it obvious and make it attractive.
This is such a crucial point. Self-control is pretty much a myth. I know, right? People who seem super disciplined aren't actually using some heroic willpower muscle that the rest of us don't have. They're just better at designing their environment so they don't have to use willpower. They make the good habits the most obvious default choice. And this just shows the incredible power of your surroundings. During the Vietnam War, a shocking number of soldiers got addicted to heroin because they were surrounded by all the cues for it. But when they got back home to a totally different environment, 9 out of 10 of them kicked the addiction almost overnight. Just gone. Now, compare that to a typical rehab center where people often go right back to their old environment and the relapse rate is 90%. Your environment is like this invisible hand, constantly shaping your behavior.
Now the second law, make it attractive, really taps into our basic human nature. We are fundamentally wired to fit in with the group, and because of that, we find the habits of our tribe to be really attractive. We just want to do what the people around us are doing, whether that's good or bad.
And get this, a study that ran for 32 years found something wild. If one of your close friends becomes obese, your own chances of becoming obese shoot up by 57%. 57! We just unconsciously soak up the habits and the norms of the people we spend time with.
All right, let's move on to the final 2 laws. These are all about making sure you actually do the habit, and more importantly, that you repeat it. We're talking about make it easy and make it satisfying.
You know, at our core, we're all kind of programmed to follow the path of least resistance. It's just human nature. So the more steps or friction there is between you and a good habit, the less likely you are to actually do it. The trick then is to remove as much of that friction as possible. Make it ridiculously easy to do the right thing.
And this is just so practical. You want to go for a run in the morning? Lay your running clothes out the night before. Boom, 1 point of friction gone. You want to eat healthier? Chop up all your vegetables on Sunday when you have the energy. The goal is to make the good choice the easiest choice.
And finally, the fourth law, which James Clear calls the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. Our brains are basically wired for instant gratification. They want that little hit of dopamine right now. So, if you really want a habit to stick, you have to find a way to give yourself an immediate feeling of success.
Okay, this is probably one of my favorite stories from the entire book. There was this rookie stockbroker, Trent Deersmid, who had this insane goal of making 120 sales calls every single day. To keep himself on track, he came up with this brilliant little system to make the process satisfying.
So, for every single call he made, he would physically move one paperclip from a full jar over to an empty one. That tiny little physical action gave him a clear, visual, and totally immediate sense of progress. It made the hard, grinding work of making all those calls feel satisfying moment to moment. It's genius, right?
Now, these 4 laws are incredible tools. They give us the how, but the most powerful piece of this whole puzzle is actually about the who. Because true, lasting change isn't just about what you do. It's about tying your habits to who you are, your identity.
This right here, this is the real secret sauce. This is what makes habits last a lifetime. It's the difference between saying, I want this, and knowing, I am this. Just think about how different these two things sound. A goal is a finish line you cross. An identity is who you are every single day. When your identity is, I am a runner, you don't have to convince yourself to go for a run. It's just what runners do. Every little action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to become. So, at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to read one book. It's to become a reader. The goal isn't to run one marathon. It's to become a runner. Your habits are simply the way you embody that identity you're building for yourself.
So the real question to ask yourself isn't just what you want to achieve, but who. Who do you wish to become? And once you have an answer to that, the next step is actually pretty simple. What's one tiny 1% action you can take today to cast a vote for that new identity?
Subscribe now for more book summaries.